Hi, folks. This is Eric Barnett, and you are listening to Songs of the Unsung. Songs of the Unsung is a podcast where I talk to fellow singer-songwriters about their influences, their musical background, and the process. We also host a monthly original songwriter showcase at Freehouse Brewery. The next showcase is January 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m. and will feature Dan Riley, Chris Dodson, and Scotty Oliver. Scotty is also this week's guest. He's a really interesting guy. We talk about his band Bluesphere, his solo album, Accent on Wine Whitehall, in which he's a co-owner, and also his baseball career. So enjoy my conversation with Scotty, and be sure to come out to Freehouse Brewery on Sunday, January 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m. and see him play. Hey, Scotty, how you doing today?
Doing well, Eric. Thanks for having me at your podcast.
Here, so much for being here, man.
Secret destination.
Yeah.
Undisclosed location.
That is correct. Yeah, it's one of those, for those of you listening at home, this is in my house. A lot of people will build a little home studio, and then they'll start taking all these pictures and say, I'm in the studio. And it's like, man, I think that's probably your guest room. But I'm not grandiose in that way. We're just in the guest room here.
This is the best darn guest room I've seen.
It's good. Andrea is very supportive in letting me take the biggest bedroom in the house and put a lot of instruments in it. So it's very good to have a supportive wife.
Well, it's always good to plug your better half, too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I first met Scotty, went over to our buddy Fleming Moore's house, and he was having some music in his backyard. He said, you should really meet Scotty and Tommy out here. And went out there, met you, and I mean, your wife's considered your better half, but Tommy's there is part of a duo as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
he kind of came with the deal. Tommy's always been there. You know, he's my brother. We grew up together since we were
awesome.
Little kids, yeah.
Awesome. And I hope to have Tommy on here eventually as well. And
for sure.
Yeah. But so I met you two, and you did a couple songs together, and you gave me your CD, which was in rotation in my car for the longest time. I listened to it.
That's great.
Oh, it's a fantastic album. Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
And I remember asking you at the time. I saw it was made in like 2015. I was like, "Did you do the whole thing? Did you do the tour and all that stuff?"
I wish. You know that you always hope that that's the case, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was more like an art project. For me, it was just something. These songs were written, and they just needed to be put down on record. And I don't know. It happened. There was no agenda really. It was just at some point you have these collections of songs, and if you're not letting people hear your artwork, or you're not putting your artwork out there to see, does it really exist at all, you know, and that kind of idea. So, again, the wife was super encouraging about, hey, you need to do this, you know.
Good.
There was a long time where I wrote a lot of songs for another band or for Tommy or for that purpose, never sang, never tried to sing.
Really? Okay.
So there was a point in time when Bluesphere had a hiatus, and different band members were living in different parts of the state, and it was an opportunity to kind of, you know, you don't want to let the guitar go to the wayside. You want to keep working on your chops, and there was no one to perform songs, so I just started singing, you know, and just kept working on it, and got to the point where you have a decent ear, so you really know what sounds good and what doesn't. Sure. And I was tired of it sounding crappy, so I just worked on it, and lo and behold, these songs came out, and I've always, you know, like anyone else who writes songs, you want to hear what it sounds like with its fullest potential,
absolutely,
per se, and I had some amazing musicians that were willing to give me their time and energy and heart and soul, and I feel like for the amount of time we spent and the amount of money we spent, I mean, I was overjoyed with the outcome and the final product. So,
well, we'll get into the album here in a minute. Let's backtrack a second. Sure. I generally try to do a decent amount of research on the folks that are coming on the podcast, just because. No, but here's the thing: I couldn't find a whole lot about you.
Perfect. perfect.
I mean, I don't know if it's by design or not. It's not like I went looking really deep. I'm not a stalker one bit, but basically all I was able to drag up is originally from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, grew up in Columbia, not born there, but definitely most of my living early on. Okay. Yeah. Originally born in Massachusetts.
Oh, right on. How long?
I was there 2 years. My family moved.
So that really doesn't count.
In South Carolina in Columbia, 1979.
Okay. Yeah. Right on. 2 years older than me. Right on. So Columbia, and obviously at some point in Columbia, you met Tommy.
Yeah. So, your parents buy a house and you have neighbors, right? And we had a little cul-de-sac. And when you're growing up and you have, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids running around the neighborhood, you play the sport and whoever's kid has the best yard, right? So we were at the base of the cul-de-sac and we had the biggest backyard. And my yard backed up to Tommy's house.
Right on.
So all the kids would always play sports in my yard. We play football. And the day I met Tommy, so we had my mom had the clotheslines and hang the towels on the clothesline, and we had to meander and navigate around the poles on part of the football field. Well, part of being the little kid in the group and on the neighborhood is you always get picked on, you always get kind of beat up. So they would intentionally lead me into the past so that I would. In the Looney Tunes variety, fall down the sliding pole, whack it in there.
Pole,
So one day that happened to happen, and when I finally came to and I looked up, and Tommy was there, kind of helping me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we met. I mean, we were just neighbors, and
excellent.
Yeah, that was way before music. Way before music even started. Yeah.
That's awesome that it started that way, and then friendship formed, and eventually music came along. When did music come along for you?
Probably about 5 years later.
Okay.
Tommy's dad had a great drum set in the house, great record collection. We were never to touch it either.
Okay.
So when we would leave, we would,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He'd have the headphones set up so you could play the drums to the records.
Oh, nice. So he was a drummer.
Yeah. And
Excellent.
And so we had the drum set. Now we needed something else. So I had a weird situation happen between 6th and 8th grade where I was immobilized. I had to have casts on both my legs.
Oh, wow.
Had a weird cartilage thing that needed to grow back, but that's for a later day.
Sure.
Long story short, to kind of buy the time, my mom bought me a guitar. I was like, he's going to be, sitting on his butt for a while. Maybe give him something to do, keep him from, because I was very athletic. I was playing. I was
keep
always
you from
outdoors.
Getting up and breaking the doctor's
Just
orders.
Keep me from going, insane and driving her crazy at the same time. So, and her brother, my uncle, who I was named after, played guitar, and I always, kind of was always drawn to the guitar. Yeah. So, when she got it, I was excited. I worked hard at it, and now we had the guitar, and now he had the drum set.
Yeah,
and we were neighbors. Yeah. So
there you go.
We put the amplifier in the garage with the drum set, and we just started pounding on the instruments, and probably at 10 or 11 years old.
What was the music you guys were listening to at the time?
It's funny. We were listening to a lot of Journey.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of rock, like power rock, like that. I would say. What else? Stuff. I mean, honestly, stuff from like Smokey Robinson because of his dad's records.
Sure.
And then all the way up to Tommy was a big Journey fan, big Steve Perry fan early on.
Sure. Well, obviously, due to the age, like his parents were probably, late 60s, early 70s to mid when they were coming into their own. So you were.
And I was listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac and a lot of. So I brought the Crosby, Stills and Nash, Fleetwood Mac, Jimi Hendrix kind of Woodstock-ish feel, and Tommy had the soul music and a lot of all that stuff, and it all just kind of meshed in, and we tried to just play what we play. First of all, play what we could, right?
Sure, yeah.
Play 2 chords that we could pound out.
Oh yeah.
But instantly, we always tried to make our own sound instead of hey, let's learn this song.
Sure. Okay.
Like for whatever reason, it was not a conscious decision.
Yeah.
It was just like he was on the drums. Tommy would play drums and I would play the guitar, and we would just make noise, and hey, that kind of sounds cool.
Yeah.
And he always sang. So and then we would always just chase melodies.
Sure.
We'd find a melody, chase it, write a song, And so we wrote our first song. He's 2 years older than me, so he was 13, I was 11.
Yeah. Oh,
and
wow.
We've been writing songs since then.
Yeah.
And we still play a few of those that we wrote.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
So it's been fun. You know, I'd say our music was more like our emotional outlet, like a way for us to not go to therapy, to have to, it was like free therapy. So we would just write and help us deal with whatever issues we were having to handle within our own households, because there were many, you know, and that was our way to kind of get that out. And
a lot of people don't realize, especially if they didn't grow up playing music, the ability to plug in an electric guitar and just make a glorious noise as a teenager.
Yeah.
As bad as it sounds to everyone else, I mean, it's a thing. It's an endorphin rush. It's such a thing. And, you know, a similar situation myself, you having somebody nearby where the two of you, it's a hangout, you're friends first, and then you're like, there's these instruments here, let's bang on them.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, everyone knows it, you know, you get tired of playing an instrument by yourself with no one there, just to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
I really enjoy working with people and finding out what we can do and where this can go, and just I love molding the clay. On
your own, you're just limited to, you know, what you come up with, and then when you add somebody else to that equation, it's like it's a synergy thing. It takes you places that neither of you would go on your own.
Absolutely. When we use that word a lot, synergy, it's that unspoken energy that we can, you know, and musicians know when they have it, that chemistry, you're like instantly, you're like, wow.
Yeah. 2 + 2 = 5 is definitely an equation for that sort of thing. Was there some point where you added a couple more guys? Did it turn into a band at that point?
Yeah. So we went through a few, what do you call it? Band mates, band directions.
Yeah.
The common theme back then, Tommy and I used to work at Harris Teeter. Our first job, we were bag boys.
All right, yeah.
And we met our first drummer and bassist. They were brothers.
Okay.
And they were these tall, lanky guys, blonde hair, but they were on the, you know, Green Day vibe, the kind of you know, that style of rock. So they wanted to play that pace of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tommy and I were coming out of the Journey and the Fleetwood Mac, and
you were
the
more
old soul
grooving.
stuff moved, you know, and they were current music. We were
Sure.
still lost back there with our parents' records, and so we started a band called Phoenix, and which was originally me and Tommy. We were before, you know, it was just drummer and guitar, and then we added the guys, and we played it, and they hated the name, they wanted to change it, and it was this constant power struggle.
Sure.
But we needed a bass player and a drummer, and it was well, we had a gig and played a gig, and it was cool.
And now, what age was this?
High school, early high school.
So what was the gig then?
So we played this dive bar in 5 Points called Clyde's. Was it Clyde's? Yeah, Clyde's. Maybe it wasn't Clyde's. No, I can't remember what it was called, actually. Anyway, it was an old staple in 5 Points on Hardin Street. And you know, Tommy's dad was our biggest promoter. You go out there and these guys are awesome. These guys are awesome. Booked us a gig. When you're 14, you don't realize you're supposed to play 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So we showed up, started early, and played 45 minutes, and we were like, all right. And it was 8:30.
Wow.
And the guy there came up and was like, hey man, that's great.
Yeah.
When you coming off of your second set? And we're like,
second set? Yeah.
So we got back up there. We played it again.
Right on.
But it was great. And
was it 100% original songs at that point?
Yeah, we did. I think we did one cover. It was like a tongue-in-cheek. We took an Elvis Presley tune, Blue Suede Shoes, and kind of put our own spin on it.
Okay.
But Tommy could do that crooner style of singing even back then. So it was fun. But yeah, most of it was original. And so we rocked it out. And then they booked us again, and we hyped it up. We practiced real hard. We had a longer set. We showed up. Our drummer shows up to the gig, and he's like, hey man, I got really bad tinnitus in my ear, and my doctor says I can't play tonight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
20 minutes before the show. And so we're like, all right. So we literally revamped it to more of an acoustic style and
on the spot
and pulled it off. And it was it was great for what it was worth, because it was, we made it happen.
It was the best you could do.
The show must go on, right?
Yeah.
And that was our first having to deal with, like, oh, it's not going to be a perfect gig. We're going to have to.
Yeah.
And no one panicked. We got through it. But at that point, the band obviously was like, we're not going to do this with these guys anymore. He can't play a gig. He's not tough enough to.
Yeah.
We were hard, man.
Well, that's also an age where you're just like, oh man, we're going to hit the big time. We're going to do this. We're going to go. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm drawing this band logo on my notebooks and
and one of those, like, I forget what they're called, but it's the high school version of the sororities. Our high school had it, and it was kind of like their little club, and they would book all these events during the year,
like a planning committee. Or
and they would hire us to do these, like, So we played a little gig out there at, like, Williams-Brice Stadium out there, and the little pregame stuff. But
nice.
That was just high school, man. That was
but it's very formative. I mean, it's.
And then I'll tell you what ended up breaking up the band originally, and this is probably I don't know if you found this when you were digging around on me or not, but I had to leave Columbia and come to Charleston because I got a baseball scholarship to play at College of Charleston. So I didn't
pull that up.
So that's what originally brought me to Charleston and had to kind of put music on hold.
Okay.
Was I grew up wanting to be a professional ball player. So
wow. Okay.
Got involved with that early as well, on top of music, and got good enough to where I was a pretty doggone good pitcher. And so at original Northeast, I had a really good high school career there, and was fortunate enough to get a college scholarship and pitched 4 years at CFC, and then went on to play professionally for a few years in the minor league system. And then after that all didn't work out, kind of had to come home and reboot and kind of get back to things, and eventually made it back to music, and got back on the path where we are now. But yeah, that's a whole nother avenue.
I will say,
man.
When I was researching you, and I just like a Google search, like, how sometimes there are different people who have the same name, and you're like, nah, not that guy. Like, it came up, Scotty Oliver, baseball. I'm like, no, not that guy. I want the Scotty Oliver that, plays guitar.
So
that was you.
That was me, but that was
awesome.
20 plus years ago, so that was
awesome, man.
My baseball career ended at 23, 24 maybe, and I had labrum rotator cuff surgery. It just blew my shoulder up bad. And at that point, it was all right. There's going to be another path.
Pitching is one of those things where it is so hard on your body.
Yeah,
and funnily enough, like at the time, 23, 24 is kind of like middle-aged for you know what I mean?
It is. I mean, most pitchers, most athletes, once they hit 30, they're kind of like past their prime.
Oh, yeah,
so like if you don't get into your prime by 25,
for sure.
But
pitching is way different than left field or it's pitching and catching. The position you have to be in, the thing you have to repeat, that repetitive motion, and you're just trying to get the fastest heat for the most part out of your arm, or make the ball waggle in a funny way that you're doing things with your arm that you're really not meant to do ergonomically.
And you have deep insight to baseball. I can tell.
Little bit. My family's a basketball family.
Okay,
just sports in general.
Me too. I mean, but yeah, that was the path that originally brought us to Charleston, which It did sting a little bit because Tommy and I were kind of gained some momentum in Columbia, and it really broke his heart a little bit. And but eventually he made it back to Charleston, down with us, and so. But yeah, it did. It took a long time to kind of get back going to this original project we started a long time ago.
How long did music go on hiatus for?
Oh, probably 5 years, easily.
Now, you were still obviously just kind of playing guitar at the time.
But just sitting at home, not really,
not being
no agenda, not trying to gig, not really trying to. It was just weird. I chased one dream, it didn't work out, and so I had this kind of reality moment. Well, I don't know, reality moment. This moment where I was like, I need something stable. I need to be able to depend on something. I don't want to
Yeah.
be this pipe dream chaser that's going to always, of course I want to chase my dreams, but at the end of the day, right?
In a way, you got your heart broken.
Yeah.
And when you get your heart broken like that, in a way, you're just like, everything is going to end that way.
Yeah. And, and my wife, who has been with me this entire time. I mean, we've been married, 16 years, but we've been together in February. It'll be 25 years.
Wow. So was she from Columbia as well?
She was from Chicago.
But
we met at CFC.
Okay. On.
And kind of went through that whole process. But so now after I don't know how long, it just kind of was like, man, so I got a job, right? I got to try to find some structure.
Didn't go back to Harris Teeter.
Didn't go back to Harris Teeter. Graduated with an art degree from CFC.
Okay.
So, like I said, artist at heart. Found a job doing some artwork, doing high-end artwork for a company. And
what's your medium?
Faux finishing. I would use exterior paint, stuccos. Basically, what I got contracted to do I found a niche with this company that camouflage cell towers all over the world.
Okay.
So they had me customize all these products they needed to match whatever environment they were placing these things.
That's very interesting.
Very weird. Like the paths that I've been on it's really cool. Interesting stuff. So I chased, did that for years, and then lo and behold, I don't know if it affected you, but in 2008, that big market recession with the housing crisis happened, and anyone who was a painter, anything in manufacturing, everything just kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
No one was loaning any money to start new projects.
Right.
So in about a couple of years, everything fizzled up, and it was like, all right, well, here we are again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still at home, still writing, still singing the blues because things suck.
Yeah.
And you don't, most guys I know don't have they're not going to be like, hey Tommy, I'm just having a bad day today. I need to vent.
Yeah.
Can I
Dudes
talk to
don't
you?
Do that. Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy.
Right.
When I have a problem, I get on my guitar and I like hammer it out there.
Yeah.
I write some lyrics out and it feels better.
Yeah.
Or I go run or whatever, throw a ball or do something.
Yeah.
So we rebooted again, and ended up meeting the Famularis crew. I don't know if you know the Famularis pizzerias and all those guys. Yeah. So literally was like, I need a job. I walked into Famularis pizzeria. They've been open 6 months, and I was like, hey man, I used to sling pies back in the day in school. Y'all hiring? And they hired me, and I met Justin and the whole Famulari guys, and worked there for like 6 years, and helped them kind of open up a few restaurants and
learn a little bit about the business.
Man, about just running a business, and which at the time was great. And then, but of course, you can't really grow too much in that industry. And eventually, the recession was over, and I was ready to spread my wings again. And Tommy had started working at this wine bar called Accent on Wine. Yeah. And downtown Somerville, and was like, hey man, there's an opening over here. You're trying to see what else is out there. You want to check out the wine side of things, and started working there part-time, and just fell in love with that whole side of life too. And then, in the last 5 or 6 years, it went from, not really knowing what we're doing, trying to be an artist, trying to write songs, but trying to find a way to pay my bills. I just kind of fell in love with the wine game, and now I have a wine bar. Now I own a wine bar. Now we can play music in the wine bar, and we can kind of collectively bring all these things together that I was having a hard time trying to figure out how to organize in my life. And it just kind of, if you can't bring it to you and create your own, create your life.
I got you to come to my house to do a podcast.
Exactly,
didn't I?
Right.
Part of my selfish reason of doing this is I get to meet more people that are out here doing what I do in many different ways. Actually, I've talked to people who do music full time. I've talked to people who this is, something that they're doing on the side. I'm talking to all kinds of folks, and it's interesting that you're just like, okay, I'm into, working at the wine, but also I think at some point every musician thinks like, oh man, if I owned a venue, this is what we'd do differently.
And that's exactly what, you know, at the end of the day, the wife, myself, and even talking to Tommy, I mean, because that's his full-time job. I mean, we're wine guys. We settled with a career because our pipe dreams were burst. I mean, not burst. I mean, it's so hard to make. There's so many good musicians out there that make so much beautiful music that no one hears it. You know what I mean? There's so much out there. It's hard to make a professional living unless you grind it out every day. And you,
well, I mean, Charleston is a little bit. I don't want to call Charleston strange because I haven't lived in a whole lot of places.
Yeah.
But Charleston, if you really want to make a living out of it, you're gonna be playing covers.
Right.
You're gonna end up doing 3-hour cover sets.
Yeah.
And if you really want to make a living and be successful, you're going to play a lot of songs that you may not enjoy personally.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're going to have an iPad. You're going to take requests. And the people that enjoy doing that and do it successfully, I absolutely respect.
Yeah.
Because if you do it well, you can kill it in Charleston.
It's a craft and art form in and of itself.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I've done it, you know, I've done the gigs, and just because I think at times I get tired of hearing my own songs too. You know, I want to do some other stuff.
I really think too, you know, there's a lot to be learned in other songs.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, if all you ever do is write and play your own songs, you're limited by what you can figure out.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're learning, like, if you're out learning covers and you'll go like, oh, wow, they did this thing here. That's neat. And depending on, do you have any like musical background in terms of like, did you have any guitar teachers? Did you take
a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Early on, when Mom put the guitar in the hand, it came with a guitar teacher.
Oh, right on.
And so that was nice. Being 11, she had a hard time. There was a lot of guitar teachers that were like, "Oh, he's 11, it's too young.
Yeah.
He'll never whatever." And but you know, I'm kind of you know, once I find something I really like, man, I want to get into it. I'm not a, I don't know, like for me, it was like, as soon as I picked up a baseball, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a baseball player.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And
obsessive,
as soon as I got the guitar, I was like, I'm going to be a rock star. And that's
I'm all in on things. Yeah.
And when it doesn't happen, I get really, you know, it hurts me.
Sure.
So,
absolutely.
I still haven't given up. I mean, I just, at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure, you know, I kept my wife. I wanted to make sure that I could pay my house. And I want, you know, the things that are important, I want to keep intact at the end of the day.
Yeah. When you get older, and you have a wife, and sometimes if you have a family and you buy a house, and music is fun. It's something I never want to not have fun with.
Right.
Is part of it as well. You know, I have a day job.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to make a living playing music in this town, you got to bust your ass. I just had Chris Dodson in here, and he's going to be.
You talk about busting your ass.
He's going to be on the show you're on, and it's going to be you, Chris Dodson, and
Dan, right?
And Dan Ryan.
Oh yeah, great.
And Chris Dodson. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy who is killing it in Charleston.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the short list.
Well, he works hard. I mean, you get what you put into it.
100%.
It's not like he's out there not hitting notes. And I mean, he's working on his craft. He's singing. He's playing.
He's not only playing it from like, I bet you he knows more songs than we've heard.
Absolutely.
And he's out there in duos, in different groups. He's doing weddings, he's doing private events. Actually, he was here to do the podcast, and he like showed up at 10 a.m. wearing like a suit. I was like, hey, thanks, man. He's like, nah, I got a wedding I'm going to.
Exactly.
But
he's always got 3 or 4 gigs a day.
You got to grind, man. And I mean,
no, and that's the thing.
People that grind, man, I have endless respect for them.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, you know, if you either have to pick a direction, like you were saying, what do you want to do with music, right?
Yeah.
I think if I have to go back and look at it, I've always enjoyed the songwriting process.
Yeah.
And I would rather literally write songs maybe perform them, but
yeah,
let other people perform. Like I would love to, at the end of the day, say, man, I wrote a lot of songs, man. I got stuff out there. I have credits out there.
Wow. Okay.
You know, that's really where,
excellent.
I think at the end of the day, I write songs with certain people.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have a team in place that people could say, hey, we need to go to these guys. We need a good song.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Have you written some songs that ended up in other people's hands?
No, but I'm working on it. There's some stuff. There's some stuff off the album that's getting some looks.
Excellent.
You always hear that, but you don't know what it means.
No, I never hear that.
You know, but it's like, you know, like, oh, I know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
And then like, but, you know, at the end of the day, I would love to be able to just like have credit somewhere, you know, like have a song that's either in a movie or let's say someone who's got an amazing voice that would like, you would crush this song, sing this song. And she could or he could perform it in a way that I wouldn't be able to achieve. You know, that would be amazing.
I do enjoy hearing things being sort of reinvented or reinterpreted. And having somebody like play one of my songs in their way would be like,
cool
it would be a very
right?
cool thing, man.
It'd be very flattering to know that like someone took that time to like learn a
Take
song
the
that
time.
you wrote.
That's the thing to actually like, if somebody cared enough
right
to really, yeah, that's something, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So you made a record. 2015. All Aboard. Recorded by Mitch Webb over at Mantis.
Yeah, great guy.
I don't know Mitch, but I do know he's also recorded Mike Friend's records.
Yeah.
And those sound fantastic.
He's a great engineer and a producer. Makes it so comfortable and vibey for the musician. I mean, it's the most relaxed atmosphere, and he does a good job of trying to find your sound. He doesn't try to say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Right.
What do you need? You know?
Now, how much of the producer hat did he wear on it? Did you come in with bare bones, or did you have an idea?
So Mitch has been working with us for a long time. We had been working the Bluesphere band. Tommy and I had worked with Mitch for years. And he knew our sound. He knew my sound. He knew what I like to do. So it wasn't like we were going in there with a new guy who hadn't, you know, we're trying to get to know and create this energy. We had already established that, and he's just like one of those guys, like you say, you know, instantaneously if you have chemistry with someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like boom, boom, boom. I mean, we're just like bouncing off each other.
Fired on all cylinders. Yeah.
And ironically enough, when we decided to go in and do this record, I hadn't planned on making a record.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had these songs, but I had like 5 or 6 songs, and then an absolute shitstorm of stuff hit our family in like waves in like about a 4-month span. Wow. So it really sent shockwaves through the entire system, our whole family. It like rippled effect. So it changed our dynamic in our family quite a bit. And 5 more songs were birthed off that experience.
Write your way out of it, man.
I did. I had to because we and myself, I was in a really dark place. From own personal circumstances to other family circumstances going on around us. Everybody just it all happened in this perfect storm of energy that was like, we can either, you know, lay down and let it take us, or we can find a way to get through this. And so we all decided to fight in our own way, and mine was to write. And at the end of that time, I went to Mitch and was like, hey, I have this record I want you to produce it. Can you help me do this? And he had just gone through and was going through a shitstorm of everything at the same time.
Sure, yeah.
So in a way, like misery loves some company. And we collectively, there were nights I slept on his couch in the studio, and we would just kind of have these moments of reflection and heart to heart, just, you know, things that the guys needed to talk about and shed.
Just group therapy
at the studio, man. And
that's awesome.
And writing. And
that's great.
At the end of the day, I think you can hear some of the emotion in the songs. I feel like he did a good job of capturing the right energy of like where the intentions needed to be. And but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in that album.
Okay.
Man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And then how it all came to get there. And
now the guys you got playing on that record, any experience playing with them before? Like, had you rehearsed stuff? Or?
So yeah, the bass player Christian Wood, no, but the drummer Ben Scott, yes. There was a point when, before I put this record together, I had a couple songs and I was trying to find a producer.
Yeah.
Because I was going to make a demo, right? And just try to figure out what my sound was going to be and just kind of have it. And I met a guy who sound engineered for Need to Breathe.
Okay.
And his name was Neil Young.
Okay.
Ironically enough, Neil B. Young. And I just, fate happens. You run into people and you start talking, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'd love to let you hear what I do. And played him a couple songs, and he's like, cool, man, I got this drummer. I really think he's really vibey. He plays in the pocket. It's great. And Ben Scott was playing at Seacoast Church. I think he was the drummer for the house band there, one of the guys that rotates. And but just a killer studio drummer. Like everything just is like perfect. There's no like dynamically drastic shifts in beats. It's just
knows right what to do and when.
Yeah, so we got together. We put a couple tracks together for the demo. That never made it to the record, but it was just I knew that I was like, cool, I got this guy. I want to call him next time I got a project. And
you can tell when it's going to work.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
And it was great. He's easy to work with. He's professional. Shows up.
To find a drummer who wants to serve a song, it's a bit of a rare thing.
Oh, for sure.
I know, at least for the style of music I play, I don't want a drummer who wants to be Neil Peart. I want a drummer that wants to be Ringo Starr.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. Right. If the drum solo is coming up and you're going to let him shine, then Neil Peart the hell out of it, man. Right. But pocket drummer, Steve Jordan. Jordan's one of my favorite drummers. Yeah. I mean, just plays the song. We have a drummer that no one really knows. I guess people know he's a drummer, but I guess most people know him as a keyboard player, saxophone player. But Alan Brissendine is one of the best song drummers. Yeah,
he's the guy that played keys on your record, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a drummer,
and he played drums on Promise. He actually he has a one drum track on there, and but yeah, he plays to the song. He'll play to the vocal.
That's awesome.
And when you have drummers that listen to the nuances of the songs, it's like you say, I forget how you phrased it a second ago, but it was probably the best phrasing.
I've always I've always been a serve the song kind of guy.
Yeah, that's it.
And so, but by default, that makes me not a jam kind of guy.
Correct.
I don't have the chops to jam either, but I
feel like jam bands, because we're guilty of it too. We're not a jam band, but we like to rock. Like we'll take
if you can hop into a section for a while and
that's
explore
what we like to
the
do.
Space, you know what I mean?
And that's just us not wanting to be bored. We're getting self-indulgent. We want to give each other a chance to like show it off. And so at the end of the day, it makes the live shows a little more fun. And at the end of the day, you need more material. If you stretch some things out a little bit.
And like I said, like reinterpretation or different versions of things. Like if you got to give yourself a little bit of room to explore the space a little bit. I just mean jams in terms of like I'll go to open mics and people will be like, hey man, can I sit in? And I'll be like, well, you don't even know the songs I'm going to play.
Never.
But the ones that ask, bonus points for the guys that ask.
Yeah.
The guys that just do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah. And I think in more in line, like why you're trying to put this together and the way you're doing it is to make it a little more controlled environment for, the singer songwriter, not to water it down with, and no offense to anyone, everyone has an intention with what they're trying to do with their music or their playing. But there's times when there's a certain etiquette that needs to be appreciated, right? Where the listener needs to be respected about what is being delivered to them.
Sure. Yeah, I think too, like at least in Charleston, there are people who play instruments in this town that want to get hired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time they'll have a chance to go to a jam or an open mic, and they're like, I got to do something that shows people I'm worth hiring.
Sure. That's their only chance to really see what I can do.
Yeah. It's a different strokes for different folks thing.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to myself and playing music, and it seems like yourself too, is you not only want a musical understanding, it almost seems like a personal connection is very important too.
Oh, without a doubt. I think at the end of the day, I always have been able to connect better with an instrument than I have been with people.
Yeah.
So it's my go-to way of communicating a lot of times. And so, I mean, I wish I need to practice on my personal skills more than my craft on playing and getting the point across that way. But no, I think you underserve yourself if you don't try to see, like, what do you want to get out of writing and playing music, right? If you want to be a songwriter, you don't need to be a jammer. You don't need to craft that part out, right? You want to work
unless that's what you're writing.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some jams that end up as songs, and there are some songs that end up as jams, and sometimes there are songwriters that, like, I just want to get in, say what I need to say, and get out. There are songwriters that say, I want to craft a hit, so I start with a hook and go from there.
It's like, what's your intention with what you're trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, there's, like, John Mayer, for instance, he's a great songwriter. He can write a 2-minute song.
Yeah.
But then he's got songs on his album, and now he's playing with Dead & Co. and all that, where he's versatile. He can say, well, I like to write songs, but now I want to go jam and be psychedelic and be ambient and mystical and
he's
see where this
got chops
goes.
To do it all, like a jerk.
Right. No. and it's hard to be in an abstract band on the fly, like when you're making that music and not falling on your face.
Right.
When everyone's in ad-lib mode, it's the synergy has to be perfect for that type of band to happen. So, but yeah, what's your intention? I like songs. I like to write songs. I like to jam. I like to play with really good musicians.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just enjoy everything about music. So wherever I can be served best by the great universe that's blessed us with the ability to do this, and be an antenna for the songs the songs are already written. They're already out there. It's just when our radars and our antennas go up, we absorb them, and hopefully we can write them down fast enough.
So you'd said you were happy with the record. You liked how it turned out.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. Man.
I had the musicians for 2 days.
Wow. Okay.
So we knocked out 5.
That was fast. Then.
5 tracks. 5, drum, bass. Yeah. The foundation, guitar. All that was done in 2 days. Wow. And then we came in and I did vocals and some guitar solos, and then Alan came back and put the keys in. Okay, yeah. You did really good guitar work on that record as well. Thanks, man.
I encourage listeners to go check the record out. I'm going to put links to it in the show notes on this.
Perfect.
And I do really appreciate you handing me a copy of it, because there's nothing I love more than actually being able to look at. And you also put who played what, and you put I'm a liner notes guy. Yeah. Like growing up and listening to records and stuff, and I've always been interested in production.
Sure.
And so it was nice to actually be able to read that stuff. So also,
I know it was tiny writing, so
yeah. Track down a hard copy of that thing as well. Any tracks stand out to you? Any favorites on that?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of personal songs in there. Yeah. There's Wretched Road, is a deeply personal song, which I felt like, the way the piano and the way Alan plays this really beautiful piano, it just kind of captures the essence and the mood. In a Moment, is to me is a song that I think everyone can relate to. It's, when all else fails and for me, it was about when you don't even have faith anymore. Like when you've exhausted all of your options, what do you turn to? You just, and when you're the most broken in your life, who's going to help pick you up? Yeah. That's kind of the song of like where you find yourself buried in the deepest hole you can, but then there's someone that helps you get out of it. Okay, and so there's like this feeling of maybe like a light at the end of the tunnel, you know, which I feel like Mitch was able to put that song together. I mean, we played it, but you know, like there's certain production work that like... There's
a difference between what gets played in the room and then after the fact saying, okay, how do we ice this cake and make it? Yeah.
And so he was able to kind of capture the imagery of what I was trying to, you know. So yeah, I think those two songs.
There's a song on the record that your wife wrote the lyrics to. Yeah,
for sure, and that's "Walk My Way Home."
Yeah, yeah.
She didn't make me walk my way home one night. No, I've been hitting this riff for about a week and just pounding out. I had the whole song, had the whole thing mapped out, and hammering it over and over again. And she's such a trooper because, you know, when you're working on a song, it's not like you just one take, cool, got this song.
Right.
You've probably hit that chord progression, stopped it 100 times just to try to find it right.
Yeah.
And finally,
the patience of our spouses, I tell you.
She came out of the bathroom. I was just in there, and she was getting ready for work. She came out of the bathroom. She's like, "I got these lyrics. That
wow.
I think, you know." And she had come up with the first verse, you know, and just like that, and then the song was written.
Now, does that happen often? Was that
No, that was one of the first times. So it was really cool. So I think I'm pretty sure I gave her credits on the song.
Yeah, you did.
And,
yep.
And anytime I play it out live, I always say, I preface it by saying, you know, this is a co-write, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes she'll get up and sing it with me.
Really?
Yeah, but sometimes she won't.
Sure.
You know?
Sure, yeah.
She's but you know, if she wanted to be a songwriter,
yeah,
she could do it. She's written some good songs. She just, you know, she just has other things going on, right? But natural talent.
Still so cool that you got that in your household. You know, you have some collaboration in the household.
You need a supportive spouse if you're going to be an artist in any medium.
Yeah,
right. You need someone who's going to let you be
right.
Self-indulgent, right?
Yeah,
not there mentally, you know. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's all love. It's all part of the process. And so, I'm very grateful that she allows me to like still explore that.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, you brought a guitar with you.
I did.
Is there something?
I was told to.
Yeah. Is there something you like to play off the record?
I'll always play anything off the record. Is there anything you'd like to hear? Is some song that you feel like you like the most? I'll put you. I threw it right back at you.
Oh man.
No. I'll play something that I play a lot. I'll probably, let's see. I'll do Promise. I think it's a good song.
All right.
It's do you want me to tell you a little background about that song? Or
yeah, absolutely.
That is one of the more lighthearted songs on the album because I felt like there was a lot of, you know, touching on some dark issues.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to sprinkle some light and some sunshine on this. So this is a song that I actually wrote when I was in my early 20s, and it was about you go through these ebbs and flows of your relationship. You're with someone, you break up, you know, you have a couple breakups, and then there's like this. Yeah. So, but in these breakups, there's always this like late night loneliness, and I just want to talk to you, or do you want to just come over, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a tongue in cheek, you know, can I come over? I promise I'll be good. You know, it's one of those things so I enjoy playing that song. Usually, I think of all the songs on the album, I think that's the one that I get the most requests to play.
Yeah.
Because it is a little more upbeat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we can start there and see where it goes.
All right, man. Let's hear it.
All right. You said we had to go our separate ways, yet somehow managed to survive. You know you could be right here with me. You
You choose to stay away, and baby, that is your right. I need to stop by and grab a few things. And maybe there's a memory or two you can spare. We can just talk about this weather, baby. How we're doing alone out there. Oh, so can I come over? I promise I'll be good. And I promise not to give you no tender touch. Promise not to look at me that way you do. 'Cause baby, that would be too much. Oh, believe me, I know just how hard it is. But if there is some pain, you know it was real. And when it starts to feel a little bit better, baby, well, I'll come around, I'll help you heal. Oh, so can I come over? I promise I'll be good. And I promise not to give you no tender touch. No, 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 no. You promise not to look at me that way you do. Baby, that'd be too much. Oh, 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 whoa, 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 whoa. I'll be good. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I promise I'll be good. Oh, 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 oh. I'll be good. You know I'll be good. Oh, 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 oh. Mm-hmm. Oh, 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 oh. Well, I promise I'll be good.
Excellent, man.
Thanks. It's one of my favorites. One of the oldies but goodies. Yeah, it definitely brings me back to what it was like in the rambunctious 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, I whenever you look at something, I use Apple Music to listen to things for the most part. And when you look on Apple Music, it always like puts a star next to the ones people listen to the most.
Right.
And the ones, and doesn't necessarily mean they're the best ones. And I usually tend to find ones that don't have the star that I attach to for some reason. And on yours, Born to Go and Wretched Road were the two that people on Apple Music, and those are bangers, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Born to Go, the album starts out great. It's a good tune. I also really liked In a Moment. And then when it finally rolled around to All Aboard, which is buried like kind of late in the record, which by then most people are just like, and these are songs too. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you'd name an album after this. This one's great too. I mean, it's a great record. there's parts on it where I'm like, this is Americana. There's stuff on it, I'm like, well, this is blues. This is bluesy.
Yep.
So it's folky, it's bluesy, it's soulful within all of that. So man, great record.
Thanks,
Everybody
man.
check out All Aboard.
Thanks.
Let's talk about your songwriting.
Okay.
And your process.
All right.
Do you ever sit down just to write a song? Do you ever block out a bit of time and say, I'm going to write songs now?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I've always described it, and this is just maybe me. This is just me, but the creative juices hit you in waves. Like in a way, it's either all or nothing with me. It's like I always refer to it as if my antenna has gone up, and I'm now able to capture these songs that are floating around the universe.
Yeah,
they come. The song kind of, I hear it in the head. Yeah, the whole thing, everything.
Okay.
Where keys, guitar, everything, the whole
so the
thing,
arrangement, even the arrangement,
like not all the time, but like that's how it starts. I hear something in the head, I'm like, I start chasing this thing, and I try to keep up with it, and if I can
so
get
it's
it all
almost
down.
like it's almost like the song exists and you're just trying to find it.
Correct.
You're trying to.
I say that all the time to my wife. I'm like, the song's out there. Yeah. I'm just trying to tap into the right energy to be the magnet for it, because it'll glom onto me. Like, that's just how it happens. Or I'll just, I don't know how it works with you, but sometimes you'll just hit a chord. It'll just, the new string sounds so great, and it hits a tone that you just haven't heard in a while, and it just sparks a.
For me, it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I talked to when I talked to Chris, he's like, no, I sit down for like 2-3 hours a day, and
I know people that do that.
And I would actually, like, if I had the time, and I need to make the time, but I want to try that eventually.
I know a lot of songwriters that go through that process.
I'd read about it was actually an Eagles documentary I was watching, and I think it was Glenn Fry was Jackson Brown's neighbor, and he said it was like clocking in every day. He'd come in, make a pot of tea, and he would just sit at the piano for like 4 hours, and it was like he was clocking into work. And I mean, I gotta try that sometime. I need to find the discipline and the time. Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, that's a system I don't think I could sustain. Right, I would burn out. Like, that's just me, because I've kind of settled in this. I'm 44 now, a little older. Yeah. A little reflection time. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. It's
you don't want to find, the thing that stopped me is I never want to put myself in a position where I go, I wrote that song just so I'd have a song, not because it meant a thing to me. I question my own motivation constantly about things.
It's my therapy. So for me, it's like, I don't go for it unless I need it in a way. I don't sit down as it's like, I need to write a song today. My songs have always come to me as in a way to get off my chest what I see in life that's resonating with me. And
so it's all very autobiographical.
It is 100%. And, and I think that's why I always went down the songwriting path instead of the cover band path.
Sure.
I just, that's my therapy. If I stop doing this, I don't know what type of personality would be in this thing. You know?
Well, it definitely sounds like the guitar is the cheapest therapist the world could ever. Therapists cost a lot of money, I've been told. I've never gone to one, though I probably should. But, I get, like, music. I've met people that are just like, I'm not into music, and I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I do my best to try. As I grow older, I really want to try to understand people and meet them in the middle.
Sure.
That is one thing I don't comprehend.
Yeah. And, they're out there, because I've met them too. And I don't understand. I could never. Yeah. Yeah. That's something I can't relate to at all. As much as I want to relate to everybody in some way. Yeah. That would be a hard sell.
It's a bit of a non-starter. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. So do you ever write any fiction when it comes to songs?
Yeah, so actually won silver and gold. Is pretty much it was what I imagined. So that song was birthed in a town in Colorado called Telluride. Okay. Yeah. Been there a few times. Really cool place. We honeymooned there, and it was just this magical
kind of ground zero of the gold rush.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. And so we went on a one of the tours to take you up to the top of the mountain where they had the old abandoned mines towns and like. So they took us up there, and I mean, literally, it was like you could see everything was just left.
Yeah.
And so we were up there a couple hours just walking around, and I had this whole story built in my head of like what life was like. Yeah. And that's how Silver and Gold was written. It was just kind of like an imaginary banks and, you know, cowboys and people trying to steal gold. And, you know,
I was actually wondering on that one. I was like, did he have a specific person in mind? Is this about
that one I did. I sat up and the imagination, we got up to the mountain, and it was like it started coming to me, and I was just like, I literally started writing it up there, and started singing the song, and you know, Jess was like, I like that, you should keep working on it.
That's awesome. But, now when songs start coming to you, do you like pull out the phone and do the voice thing?
Absolutely. I mean, there's hundreds in here. Yeah. Because that's the thing that used to kill me before. There was no way to record your thoughts, right? So, and most of them either come in the shower or when I have a bad habit of, a lot of my songs are in the time signature of their blinker.
Okay.
Because when you're sitting there like, you know, I sit there and make songs and make rhythms while I'm at a stop sign or a stoplight waiting for the light to turn. And so then I'll be like, oh man, I like this.
Oh, the muse doesn't come along when it's convenient.
But it's a click track. It's like your click track, you know. But I carry the voice memo. There's tons because I'll lose that melody. Yeah. And I'll just hum the melody so that when I get home, I can start banging out the melody, because the melody will come usually before the song. Okay. You know, it's like there's a certain texture to that, and so I'm a big fan. And then it was the dictaphone. Remember back in the day, it was like the lawyers would use like whatever they would use for their memos later. Yeah. So I had that for a while. Okay. And then of course, in the notebooks. Yeah. Right.
Do you ever try? I've tried to like write lyrics on the whole talk to text thing. And then you go back and you're like, this is ridiculous. Because talk to text, I don't know if I just have one of those voices that doesn't translate, but I'll like go back and read it. And sometimes I'm like, well, that was neater actually, what it screwed up and did. But,
no, I haven't. No, I might actually like have to venture into that.
You gotta get home first and then hear those things, and then the lyrics come along. Yeah. Now, do you have any like notebooks sitting there? Do you have like orphan lyrics that you like just hit a line and you're like, throw that off?
Yep. There's lines that are like, oh, I like that line. I'm gonna hold on to that line. It's gonna have a place somewhere. Yeah. You know, because you know when you're writing, you know, if you're writing lyrics, the lyrics don't always come to you. Right. You have that's the part you have to work on. For me, that's the music's the easy part that kind of falls into place. Yeah. And then now where do the lyrics fall into the music? And that's always the tricky part for me.
I have an internal editor when it comes to lyrics, and that editor is just brutal. I always call him the goalie, because my goalie, he doesn't let anything pass. Like I'll throw out a lyric and I'll be like, oh, no, I hate that. That's ridiculous. I won't do it. And it really prevents me from it's probably stuff that's fine. Right. You know, like, do you ever listen to a song and you're like, oh, I would have never let myself get away with that. Yeah. And then you're like, and I should. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a weird lack of freedom you give yourself. Yeah. Like of this letting go. Yeah. You know, and I wish, you know, and it's fun to tap into that sometimes. You know, just your own worst self-critic, which is if you have a good producer, someone that's encouraging you. Yeah. That's always the best too, you know, to get you out of your own way in a way.
I have like 3 or 4 songs that I've actually just written in the presence of someone. And 2 things happen there. The first thing is I want to impress them. Sure. And the second thing is something that I would have said was dumb. They're just like, no, go with that. and it allows you, it like gives you permission.
Yeah.
And I think as a songwriter, you just need to give yourself permission.
It's like the chef asking somebody to taste something before it gets served, right? You want to just get a little positive feedback that like you're on the right path. Yeah, for
sure.
We're all insecure when it comes down to it, right? I mean,
musicians? Yeah. Or even everyone, but I mean, musicians.
Especially, right?
I am very, musicians that have zero insecurities, I'm very,
yeah, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
You can absolutely say that, because that's what I was thinking. There's a lot of, and if anyone is a musician, they've gone to open mics, there's plenty of unearned self-confidence floating around.
You know, that's just, you can tell, man. That's just, you know, they just want to give that the aura of confidence, but they're really scared. Yeah. They're really scared.
Yeah.
And they're fidgety and they're projecting. And
Yep. Self-awareness.
Amen.
It can be a curse.
It can be, but we all need it.
Yeah. Now, when you start writing songs, do you ever start a song and then you think of a particular songwriter or artist where you're like, "This, I'm channeling so-and-so on this," or?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because that's my worst nightmare. Like my worst nightmare is to sound
it in a
like
box right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tommy and I actually talk about this all the time. I go through pockets where I don't listen to music.
Okay.
When I'm writing.
All right.
Because I don't want to have anything seep in melodically.
Yeah.
You know how like you can kind of, if you're around music all the time, things seep in and then you're like, "Oh, I like this."
Yeah.
You're writing like, and then you're like, "Oh, it sounds like that."
Yeah.
That's why I have it in my head. So I try to isolate myself in a way that I can only be in my own head.
It's also hard when you hear something down the line that you're like, "Oh, did I steal this?"
Yes.
But there's only so many notes in a key, and a guitar is laid out a certain way.
Yep.
And I mean, there was obviously the first person that ever walked from a C down to an A chord.
Correct.
Or an A minor chord. Right. But just because you did it too doesn't mean you necessarily lifted it off of anybody. There's plenty of stuff that's just
absolutely in the
it's
same
just
way.
how music works.
Yeah, and you know, everyone's got a voice, and there's only so many words in the vocabulary, and but it's how you deliver these words.
Sure,
you know, it's how you wrap them together. So I mean, that's all they've given us to work with.
Yeah. When it actually comes to listening to music or songwriters that you enjoy or songwriters you may be influenced by, if I had to just say, like, give me 5, and it doesn't have to be 5, it could be 4, 6, 10.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge Nathaniel Rateliff fan.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. He's probably my guy.
Excellent.
That as far as, you know, a songwriter that really can get emotion across and is like vulnerable as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
I look to that as like, okay, it's cool to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Look at Nathaniel.
Yes.
He's so badass, you know, like,
and he can do it. He can do it as a solo performer. He can do it as the frontman of the neo soul thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan, so I listen to a lot of Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
Current artist. I've been listening to a lot of Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got a cool band. Some of the stuff is a little more country than I would like to stylistically go to or listen. Sure. But he's got a really cool band and he's got a cool voice and it's like a young Willie, but he's got fun songs. So I've been having a lot of fun listening to him. Let's see who else. I like the Lumineers.
Okay.
I like the texture of his voice.
Yeah.
And I like what they can do with their harmonies and all the syncopated rhythms. I think that's badass. I've been listening to Gary Clark Jr.
Okay. Yeah.
For my own personal band, I'm trying to put a little more edge in our songs, and I'm trying to find stylistically like a direction that we can start moving towards, kind of out of the folky Americana. Like I want to bring a little more,
put a little grit in it.
And Black Keys. You know, I've been listening to a lot of Black Keys lately. I listen to a lot of blues, a lot of Freddie King.
Okay.
So that's a few out there. But current, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of new music, man. I
try.
There's for me, it's overwhelming the amount of music that's out there right now. And given the nature of we have full-time jobs during the daytime. I can't listen to music all the time at work. I'm at home late. There's only so much time in the day that I can devote to, trying to see what's out there. But
now, are you when you find yourself listening to music, are you a album guy or are you a singles guy or?
I like an album. We've been really getting into vinyl as a household lately in the last few years, and at the end of the day, it's really nice we find ourselves either putting on an artist's album / playlist or just throwing on a vinyl and just listening to it, turn the lights down, candle, open up some wine. I'm a wine guy. And, but yeah, just to kind of, like you say, I'm more in I like to hold the album. I like to look at the liner notes. That's why on the album, I tried to make it like a mini record, make it look like a mini album. I tried to go vinyl, but I was like, oh, it's a little too expensive.
And then you're like, how many of these are going to sell?
Right. But I think what I'm going to do, is get it repressed.
Yeah.
And have some vinyl maybe on, down the road. Because I have a whole nother album that's ready to be written or recorded. Excellent. But it's just, there's only so much time and I don't know.
Yeah. Now, when you're writing with Tommy, are there songs that start where you just play something and you're like, I'll save that for Tommy?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, actually.
If it's a little too groovy, soulful,
if it's abstract, like really, because usually what happens when writing for that band, that stuff happens more organically as a band. Like we'll get together, excuse me, and just jam, get together and just pound the instruments, and Tommy will start hearing something in his head.
Yeah.
And then we'll just start chasing. And the next thing you know, we've kind of, and then sometimes I'll have a progression. I wrote a song or a progression that I thought was going to be something that I would use. And then when he put his voice on top of it, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. We're going to go over here with this one, you know? So it just happens. It just depends, like I said, there's no intention. It just kind of happens. And it's like, well, you don't want to waste a good chord progression. You don't want to just throw it aside.
It could be a thing.
But sometimes you just tape it on the wall and it'll find a place somewhere down the line. Because I don't know how about you, but, stylistically, I used to write heavier stuff when I was younger. And now I'm like getting older, writing mellow. And So, I mean, there's a time and place for certain songs you write. And maybe 5 years from now, I'll be like, man, I want to revisit some of this Metallica stuff from or whatever. I mean, I never know. You never know where this song may fit down the road with what. So
I had Ben somewhere in here and we were talking, and Ben, he has his own solo stuff. He has a punk band, and then he has sort of a Americana group. Right. And I was like, do you write any songs that all of you do? Like, is there a song that has multiple versions? And he's like, yeah, there's one. Is there... And I realize that right now the lineup of Bluesphere is pretty much your band plus Tommy. But is there anything that you? But it's a different style too. And
I wouldn't, for lack of a better phrase, I wouldn't say my band. It's just like
the guys who
are here
play with you. Yeah,
we've been friends for so long. Yeah, so many. We've all played together for so many years that it was like when we had gigs, we would try to. If you think about it too, if you're a big front man, you have a big voice. Yeah. You don't want to go out and stretch a 3-hour show. No. If you're an original act, right? So what we've been trying to do over the years is like segue it, like come as a package. We've been coming where it gives me a platform to play some of my music. Yep. And then it gives a platform for Thomas and his music. So as a family, as a group of guys that have known each other for a long time, we felt like this is the best way for us to kind of attack everything, and somehow it works. I don't know.
When you're seeing especially just like a real charismatic frontman, you got to really just strike while the iron's hot. Yeah. And you got to get while the getting's good too.
Yeah. And because not everybody's into that, too. We've known this for so many years. We have a lot of haters out there too, because, there's not a lot of people that, I feel like we've always been what we call like the musicians band. Like musicians love us. Yeah, yeah. The hard sell is, well, we have a front man who wears really tight pants and high heel boots and is, has this delivery, very, like androgyne, very Bo, very Prince, part
there
of a
are people
show.
who are very insecure as people in this world that,
as we've touched on earlier.
Yeah.
By nature, we're insecure. So we want to like it, but we're afraid if we say we like it, that other people are going to make fun of us. So I feel like we've always carried that chip on our shoulder that we're going to be unapologetic. We're not going to try to make you like us.
Yeah.
We do what we do, and we're an original band.
Yeah.
So when you go see an original band, we're not going to cater to them. We're going to do what we do.
Right. Yeah.
And if you like it, come see us again. If you don't,
absolutely.
Just tip your hat, say, all right, I respect what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
But it's not for me.
Yeah.
But, we don't suck. At the end of the day. So it's like
not one bit. No.
So we want people to like us, but we understand that it's not for everybody.
You want them to like you on your terms.
You like me the way I want you to like me.
Yeah. Any plans for? I know you said you have a whole album, another album worth of material, kind of ready to go.
It is ready, and it's just again finding the time.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in and put an album together when your head's not 100% there. You're distracted.
Yep.
For me, I just want to be all in and have that window where I can just be there and isolate myself and get it done. And when we just opened up the wine bar a year ago, it's just been full steam ahead with that.
Sure.
And then trying to create a place for musicians in our community that can have a place to play, place to call home. So that's been the focus for the last year or two, is get that to where we want it. And then once that's established, then I can focus on that.
It's got to get some legs of its own. And then then Bluesphere, any album plans?
Gosh, that's the $1 million question. We we were going to produce with Mitch. And then Mitch had owned his studio in Park Circle for like 10 or 15 years and sold the building and moved up to North Carolina. Yeah. So now, it involves us having to travel. So we're actually looking for somebody locally that we can establish with a new producer that we can, that likes our sound. We got a couple people that we know but nothing imminent, but
I think Mike Friend still drives up to Mitch.
He does. He does.
But Mike has one of those businesses where I think he can do a big project and then have time. Yeah. So
exactly.
What you have, and I'm just a first shifter basically.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. And then, but you, oh man, I can't even imagine trying to own a business and
then making So one thing at a time for me,
especially
right now.
a new business that you started amidst a pandemic.
Yes. Well, we're kind of nuts.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Accent on Wine Whitehall.
Yeah. Accent on Wine Whitehall is the third wine bar of the family. We have our main hub in downtown Somerville and then one in Park Circle. And the Whitehall location is our third member to the family. But we wanted to create a place where, like I said, create the lifestyle of what I wanted as a business, but also incorporate what my life and dreams are, which was, good times, good vibes, good music, good people, bringing them together for being a conduit of creative energy, so that we always wanted to have that in our life. And so, it was our goal to create that energy and make sure that our community could be served with that. And also being a musician and playing gigs and playing at places where you don't feel welcome. You feel like you're just we need to hire a band. We need people to whatever, so
make these people happy.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I gave my contemporaries and my musicians community a good place to play where they were treated with respect, weren't forced to play a marathon gig. Yeah. And had a good sound, and they gave it, a warm place to play. And so that was my goal. If I wasn't going to be able to perform and do my music and get out there and still hit that, then I wanted to at least be around it, Awesome. And so I bring the people there that I enjoy. It's a little bit selfish, I mean, I
You've created the space. I mean, you've created what you want in this world, and if everybody did that, we'd be a lot far better off than people who just seek to use it.
It's hard. It's easier said than done. I mean, it's hard to say, I'm going to go open up a music venue place, and everyone's going to come and support it, and it's going to be great and thrive. I mean, that's asking a lot. You have to
getting the general populace to buy in.
Yeah.
To not hearing country roads is and especially here is
Wagon
really
Wheel.
something.
Wagon Wheel's great. I've played Wagon Wheel 100 times.
Yeah.
But you go to venues now and it's like, if you play Wagon Wheel, you'll be asked to leave.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because it's like, all right, well, I guess, is it that played out, I guess, already?
Yeah, I don't know. Or it's just cool to say that too.
Yeah.
Like it's considered cool.
Or it's like Freebird, Freebird is not allowed here.
Right. Or playing Stairway to Heaven at a guitar store. Yeah. Well, I can tell you though, from my experience at playing at the wine bar is, I mean, generally I play around Charleston and I don't play like a lot of stuff people know and love. I try. And then there was like just a point at the gig, I was like, well, what do you guys want to hear? And Thomas was like, play some of your own tunes. And I was just like,
what?
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that alone is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. We're very supportive and encouraging. Yeah. Like we're an original band, we love original artwork, and we know there's plenty of it out there. It's just we want to give everyone like you said, the freedom and the encouragement to do it on a platform and not have to feel like they have to appease the masses with popular songs that they've already heard.
Right. And that's, I mean, as far as this podcast and this the Songs of the Unsung thing is, I'm trying to figure out. You can get other musicians to buy into original music. Mm-hmm. How do you get the public? How do you get somebody who's not, people who don't create music or at least is artistic in some sort of effect, don't understand what it takes and what it is, and that it's not coming prepackaged to them.
Right.
So really the experiment I'm going for here is how do we get the average person to care, to look a little deeper than what's being fed to them. So I'm super happy you agreed to be part of this.
Yeah, man.
This podcast great. And as well as it's going to be the show at Free House on January 23rd. It's going to be you and Dan Riley and Chris Dodson playing your own tunes, hopefully telling stories about your songs.
Absolutely.
And hopefully this turns into a thing where we get people asking for original music and realizing that people are out there playing other songs than.
And that's the whole hope, that's always been our mission, awesome. Not even as having a business, but as a musician, it's always been our mission to support original music, promote original music. And because there's a wealth of talent in this town. I mean, there's a good songwriting, but a lot of people are just sucked into I need to pay my bills. I need to make a living. And this is the path to make a consistent living. So appreciative of what you're doing to bring a platform for original music. And, we're going to continue to do that at our place. And,
awesome.
Come the new year, I think we talked about it earlier, the last time you were there, but we're going to start doing Monday nights is going to be the night that I'm inviting my singer-songwriter friends to come and play music, hang out, share each other's songs.
Awesome.
Be accompaniment, have just a family vibe, because most people I know that are playing full-time usually have Mondays and Tuesdays off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's their weekend.
Yeah. So when I was on that schedule, I'm not a very social person. I like hanging out with other musicians because usually they're awkward and like antisocial too. So we all feel more comfortable around each other. Yeah. So I was thinking, well, why don't you come hang out with me on Monday nights and we can play some music. Awesome. And we can play our songs and we can learn each other's songs and start, being that for each other. So we're going to start doing that in January and on Mondays. So we're going to.
Awesome.
We welcome you to come and participate and encourage you to spread the word. So we're going to try to parlay that with you and keep the vibe going of like showing the talent that we have in this town.
Right on. Yeah.
Maybe you never know. Get some people may want to tap in, sponsor, get involved, and
excellent.
Maybe some record companies in town or producers want to showcase some of their talent that they have under their books. So you never know.
Very, very cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
You want to leave us with one more song?
Sure.
What you got?
I think it would only be appropriate to do the title track.
Excellent.
All Aboard. It's a good one. It's a good one.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you so much, Eric, for having me. I appreciate it, brother.
All right.
Well, she stole my heart, I never had a chance. She caught me off guard, I've been chasing her ever since. So I took that beauty and I made her mine. And we headed out west and we danced until you're right. We're all aboard, here we go. Where it leads, we just don't know. But all we need is faith, some love, and a little hope. Well, we made it back east in record time. Had the wind at our backs as we got to Caroline. We didn't stop until we reached the edge of America. Then we put our feet in the sand. We're all aboard, here we go. Where it leads, we just don't know. But all we need is faith, some love, and a little hope. Well, I don't know just what I did to win your love. Oh, but honey, I'll hold you close. Ooh, baby, when things get rough, and you know that we're all aboard, here we go. Where it leads, we just don't know. And all we need is faith, some love, and a little hope. What I did to win your love. Ooh, but honey, I'll hold you close. Baby, when things get rough, and you know that we're all aboard, here we go. Where it leads, we just don't know. But all we need is faith, some love, and a little hope. Ooh, we're all aboard, here we go. Where it leads, oh, we just don't know. But all we need is faith, some love, and a little hope. Well, she stole my heart, I never had a chance. She caught me off guard, I've been chasing her ever since.
Well, all right. That was Scotty Oliver, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to that conversation as much as I did participating in it. Be sure to come out to Free House Brewery on January 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m. to see Scotty, Dan Riley, and Chris Dodson play their songs. Until then, I always appreciate going on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the like. Songs of the Unsung. You can go to songsoftheunsung.com to link to all that. Always appreciate all the likes and shares and subscribes you have to offer. Until next time, thanks a lot.